Hello, everyone, and welcome to what are we calling the podcast again? Because it used to be the Star Spangled Crown, but I forgot what we changed it to.
Isn't it the Monarchist magazine?
No, that's the name of the channel.
God Save the King?
No. You don't. You've tried this like 3 times in the past of like taking over the podcast, but would never be God Save God, King, and Nation.
No, well, it would be. Well, first, I have my own YouTube channel, so I don't.
Yeah, which you post nothing on. You just write articles, which like no one reads articles. Why read some of your articles?
No, I have a YouTube channel, and I use AI to. Well, okay. Essentially, my YouTube channel only serves to pirate books. So what I do is I use Google's Notebook LM. Like, people get all mad at me, like, "Oh, you're so lazy. You didn't even write anything. You didn't write a script. You just use AI." It's like, buddy, I link to Anna's archive, an internet archive, so you can download the books. It's basically just a repository to pirate stuff, and also promote my articles. But like primarily, it's meant to pirate books, and no one gets that. So, oh well.
I don't know, Nation. The only thing I've been reading lately is 40K novels and not political. Every time I read actual political books, I get depressed. But every time I read 40K novels, like, yeah, far right politics are winning.
There you go.
But not Tao books, because those suck. They're actually not bad then.
What are you reading now? Anything good?
Let's see. What am I reading right now? The Rose at War, which is Adeptus Sororitas, like a collection stories.
Okay, cool. I listen to audiobooks in my classes sometimes, and I'm listening to Ernst Junger's Storm of Steel.
You know, I really should finish Storm of Steel.
I think it's a good audiobook. I kind of enjoy the author they have. And I'm reading some books on Russian politics right now. And I don't know. The problem is, like, I'll buy a book or I'll like rent out a book or borrow a book. It's like, oh, now I have like 12 books I'm trying to read, and it's hard for me to like finish an actual book. But
yeah,
it's going good though.
I need to finish reading the last half of For My Legionnaires.
Well, I finished it. The only part I haven't read was sort of like the
prison notes.
No. The addendum by I think it's Carrie Bolton in my copy, and it's kind of like, I mean, I'll eventually get around to it, but again, like once I've kind of read what Codriano has to say, I'm kind of like good.
No one gives a fuck about you, Carrie Bolton. Shut up.
Okay, what? Sorry.
No one cares what the translators have to say.
No. I think Carrie Bolton's okay. He's actually written some books that are actually pretty decent. Like he's not like some pleb or something, but it's kind of more like, I know the history of the Legion, I know what happened under Antonescu, and then during the communist times. Like, it's kind of just depressing.
Antonescu wasn't part of the Legion. Hemius Simon was the leader.
No, I know, but I'm saying I know what happened, like with him, like when he took over Romania and what happened to the Legion, right? So I think it's like an historical kind of addendum, and it's like I don't know. Like, again, I will read it, but I don't really feel compelled because it's just depressing history after that point. So
Zelensky, Donald Trump.
What's up?
Sorry, I was just trying to find something. I had something open and it. Oh, I didn't mute myself. Damn it. No, I was trying to.
Looking for something?
Yeah, I mean, I really should do this beforehand, but I don't because to be completely honest, I don't know why I do this podcast. I get no enjoyment out of it. I just need to make myself suffer.
Well, that's therapeutic, or it's salvific to suffer. So,
I should probably. Well, that doesn't show the actual name of that YouTube channel I'm signed in on, so it just shows a symbol. But yeah, I just thought we should have commentated the Zelensky thing. Hold on. I wanted to cover this.
We have security in a different form. We'll have workers there digging, taking the raw earth so that we can create a lot of great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France, and they were here, as you know, last week, and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think
very conviction that we need the pathway toward peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic.
I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. Because they should have been no involved, because they should have been no. They would still, and they shouldn't have been October. And then under Biden, that would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. Great guy, by the way. Money away, and you see what happened. And that's, I appreciate.
Oh, no. Goddamn.
That's also that we hope to be able to solve. But no, I appreciate your question very much. I feel I have an obligation to try and do something to stop the death.
If I can answer, yes, if I can answer, sorry, please.
And I do like your clothing, by the way.
Yeah, really?
Even though I think he's a great guy, by the way.
You know, see, he asked him, Sargon knew was correct. Does Zelensky even own a suit?
Which is kind of funny. Remember when Jim was like, wearing his Applebee suit?
Yeah, it's like, so, maybe Sargon's correct with seriously, why isn't he wearing a suit? He looks like a guy who is literally like a Eastern European guy who is meant to go to like a Russian esports conference.
Hey, David, you like my Adidas tracksuit? Yeah.
It's like he's like going to an esports competition out for president. He dresses like a fucking bum.
Well, the whole thing is, right, the war happened, and it's all about media manipulation and kind of setting the narrative, right? So it's like, oh, Ukraine's in war. This isn't happy time. So I'm going to wear like, military fatigues. I'm going to wear like a turtleneck. I'm going to, it's all just about like branding essentially. So he's like, oh, he'll be in a picture of like 40 people and he'll be the only one not wearing
a suit. He should go the ass off the time. Like, hey, you guys got a sweet Nazi uniform I can borrow? And I'm sure they do.
Yeah, well, that's a little too on the nose, I think. Come on. Who's funding Ukraine and all that? Who's promoting that?
The U.S. mainly.
U.S. There's a bit of Israeli support too as well. Given the history there,
the Israelis are not giving. Where are people getting this idea that Israel is giving Ukraine money? The only link they have is the Israeli. They have a licensed model of the main assault rifle. They're not giving them money.
No, it's not about the mindset. There's a lot of like oligarchs and such that are dual citizen, and there's like dual interest that way.
Same thing in Russia.
Less so, and they're more controlled.
No, it was not.
Yeah,
Putin literally hangs out with rabbis. You need to stop it with the whole no one is coming to save you. No one is on the Anglo side. Russia doesn't like Anglo countries, and stop it with the anti-American nonsense. Nation, here's the whole thing. Because I thought about this since the last time we talked. The whole thing that America controls all of Europe is just a cope by European countries. Because for multiple reasons. It's like, well, Europe can't do anything without America. It's like, defense-wise, yes, but they can fully tell America to fuck off at any time. It's just an excuse.
America wouldn't let it. They'd pull out all their... America has more than just the military. You don't think America put economic pressure on Europe and get defense?
We don't want anything to do with Europe.
Yes, you do. Well, those who roll over, you do. They use America to keep Europe in line.
Trump told Europe that they're a bunch of broke bitches and they should fuck off.
Yeah, he's like the first break in the kind of transatlantic system there's been for 80 years. It's that's the thing, right? And that's what people don't get, right? I actually do like Trump. If I was American, I'd be completely all over Trump, right? But I'm not American. I'm Canadian. And God or destiny or whatever has seen fit to make me a Canadian. And therefore my first loyalty is going to be to my nation and to my king, right? In the secular political sense, right? So yes.
You mean the king who allowed a bunch of Muslims in the Buckingham Palace?
Yes, of course.
The only reason I'd have them there is for public execution for heresy. That's a good place. Actually, that's not a good place to have that's not public execution.
Look, I don't like the king. I don't like my prime minister. I haven't, I'm the thing is, right? I'm not oh yes, I hate America. Once America's gone, the world will be better. I'm not anticipating good times or things getting better anytime soon. I'm thinking in terms of the next 200 years or 500 years or even 1,000 years. I want to kind of lay somewhat of a foundation.
The entirety of I don't get Canadian right-wing politics because, like, America, I get why people don't decide to overthrow the government, but your military is literally 50,000 poorly equipped dudes.
Because Canadians have no sense of what their identity is. Okay.
Just you need maybe there was like a guy who took over Parliament with like a gun. Just how hard is it?
He didn't. He got shot. There was a guy who went there with a gun. He wanted to whatever do with terrorism or whatever, and he
But
got
like
shot.
that wouldn't even like get anyone near the capital. You'd be arrested even before you even.
Because Canada's not a serious country. Our military is a joke. I mean, I learned today that basically the government used to pay for soldiers to move and would kind of help with their rent and stuff if they had to move to a more expensive city. Now they don't do that. So if you get like transferred, you're expected to pay out of pocket on your salary to where you live, right?
Well,
Like yeah, like we
the best. The U.S. military isn't any better. It's just that
no, I mean, I would say the American military is like as bad as Canada is militarily. I mean, America's is better, and they get more money and more services.
they're not good services though.
Okay, but still better than the average, better than I don't know.
Nation, when I worked living with my brother, I was getting paid more than him, and he is a sergeant, staff sergeant, U.S. military. He's also a sociopath and an asshole.
Okay, it's like that's the thing, right? It's like I don't think I'm a utopian. I don't think I'm this sort of like unrealistic person. It's like yes, like a lot of what I write and deal about is dealing with like the perfect, dealing with the ideal. If I'm gonna advocate for something, if I'm gonna make an argument, I'm gonna argue for like the best. But like, there's plenty I'm willing to settle with. Like we have a new prime minister now, right? And people are
He's an idiot.
Sure. Well, what do you know about him?
I know that he. The only thing I know about him is he is making the taxpayer align with this one fucking real estate magnate, and I hate real estate speculators.
Well, you'd hate Trump then, because that's kind of what he was.
Well,
But,
Trump isn't really much of a real estate speculator. I mean, somewhat, but like
Sure.
real
Well,
estate.
neither here nor there for my point, right? So like Carney got in, right? And he's gonna kill the carbon tax, right? That's good. Like he basically has to do that because it's a like really unpopular thing.
Because your economy is about to collapse.
Yeah, no, well, I mean, it's been like basically like during and after COVID, it's barely been hanging on. Like even like yeah,
Nation, no one wants to hear about Canadian politics.
I mean, well, when you want to talk about European politics? I mean, I don't know. We're still like a white-ish country. I don't know.
More like a
Well,
colony.
no, this is a monarchist show, not even a white nationalist show. It's like the one country.
I've said this is a white. I could specifically have said this is a white supremacist show. Being a monarchist and being a white supremacist are just inherently linked. There's no such thing as non-racialistic monarchists.
Well, I'm not saying they're at odds. Those positions are at odds. I'm just saying that this is literally a monarchist show, and I come from a country that is a monarchy, technically on paper, theoretically, and so our politics kind of does relate to monarchy. But
yeah, I guess.
I don't know. The point is, right? Like, yes, I have like pipe dreams of great things happening, and it'd be fantastic. But like,
nothing interesting ever happens. I mean, besides Trump nearly getting shot. To be honest, I'm not like the biggest fan of Trump. I think he's a lot more talk than he is actually action. And generally speaking, I might get shit on by the Trump supporters, but I genuinely wish the bullet would have went through his head. Not because I want him dead, because him dying would have radicalized the right a lot more, much more effective.
I don't know. There are. If Trump had died, they would have put someone else in. Kamala probably would have won, then either way, let's say they replace Trump with like a Mitt Romney type kind of guy, right? So you get this like cuck in, and then he'll like after that they'll be like, oh yeah, now you have to do mandatory background searches for guns, and we have to do this and that. But like, I don't know, like it could radicalize people, but then it could also open a can of worms that would be very unfortunate for the right, especially the more like further right or traditionalist right. So it's like pros and cons either side, but I can't see it being a better situation. I mean, like Trump is actually doing things that are worthwhile, and we still have to see kind of what he does. But I mean, I don't know. There's a different energy this go around than there was in 2015, 16. So I don't know. He can still do good stuff. So we'll see.
I just wanted to get to the public freak out of Zelensky. Where's that?
You got the long one.
You're right. I don't need this. I just needed that clip and
yeah.
The United States of America, and for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I can be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way, so that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending.
Ukraine, part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact?
2015.
2014.
2014.
Yeah. So
he was not here.
Yeah, but
exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. That people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him.
Zelensky has the most annoying accent, like annoying Ukrainian accent.
Well, the thing is, right? He basically had to learn Ukrainian or brush up on Ukrainian when the war started because he primarily spoke in Russian. He speaks better Russian than Ukrainian. But again, I'm not. I know his voice can be kind of grating, but I'm not gonna.
Well, no,
I'm not gonna
He
belittle.
sounds like a dirty Jewish car salesman. He's like, you want to buy some Ukrainian merchandise?
He really does sound more Jewish in a way, like more guttural when he speaks. But again, I don't know. Like I'm not gonna disparage a guy for having a strong accent or not sounding good. I mean, what English is his third and fourth language probably after Hebrew. I mean, give the guy a break,
No one fucking speaks Hebrew.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm to joke.
No. Seriously, if you ever, I've never been to Israel, but all the people I know have gone there. They say that no one fucking speaks Hebrew. Most people speak English, and I don't speak in the second language simply due to the fact that I'm American and. I refuse to speak English to any member of the vassal states. If I went to Germany, I know most of them speak English, so I'm just going to loudly ask for everything in not even using a single German phrase. And if the German says, he's like, "Shut the fuck up, you low IQ vassal state. You aren't even a real country. We basically just own your ass."
But America doesn't control Europe, eh?
Well, that's their excuse, but it's not like there's anybody in Germany who actually cares about Germany.
No. Well,
I mean,
yeah, in the East, and they have DP. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, again, the situation ain't great.
No one's gonna fucking work with the alternative for Deutschland.
Well, that's what we learned with the election. Well, I mean, we already knew that anyways.
Yeah,
again, things are in regards to Europe, in regards
you need
to
32% of the vote. That's what Hitler got. He got 32%, and he convinced the centrists that the communists suck dick.
Yeah, things will have to get worse before they get better. And what that kind of future world will look like, nobody knows. But
it's real. Hopefully, it's not a world ruled by India. No one wants to live in that world. Not even Indians want to live in that world. They think they want to live in it, but they're gonna be asking for the white man's boot back on their neck. Like, oh, please take back the world. We do not know how to run it, sir. I mean, Nixon is correct when he called. What do you call them? An entire.
Well, he said their women were the most sexless race that he's ever encountered. That was a pretty. I don't know. The Nixon tape quotes are pretty.
They're just
pretty good.
They're just like Nixon just has Nixon. If he was still alive, would just be posting on Twitter, and he's like this person. It's like look at this homosexual over here, fucking queers. That Obama is a fucking dirty Muslim Kenyan Jew.
Yeah, Nixon was all right. I don't have anything bad to say about Nixon.
Well, he won the 1960 election over Kennedy.
No, I know. That's common knowledge.
Yeah, and Nixon would have fucking just Nixon would What do these uppity Negroes want? Send in the tanks over there. Give them the Soviet treatment. Him and Rockwell kind of have the way of overly pronouncing R's.
I wonder, well, where was Rockwell and where are they from? It could be like a regional accent or something.
It probably is, because I know Taylor and William Luther Pierce both are from the. I think both have the same accent because they both pronounce W's that way.
Hmm.
I think it,
Yeah, but anyways, you know.
A lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation. And we signed with him, me, like a new president, in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broke the ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, GD, you're speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come to the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring it into this
Have you
conflict.
ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come on.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people in your military?
Yeah,
and do you think it's respectful
I'll
to come to the Oval Office of the
I'll
United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that's trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning. Sure. First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God
don't know
bless.
that.
You're not in the war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering
position to
questions.
dictate that.
That's exactly what
Remember,
I'm not
you're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
We'll feel
good.
influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and very
telling you.
strong.
We're gonna feel very good. We're gonna feel the
Position.
best. We're gonna feel so good you won't even believe it. It's gonna be fantastic. It'll be
I
great.
just find it interesting that he's just sitting there like pretending he has like any leverage over the America.
Well,
Like,
I mean,
who
he's
the
just
fuck does this Jewish merchant literally think he is? Like, he's like talking to the most powerful man in the world, and he's just sitting there going, "I need more money. I need 6 billion rockets to bomb the next school children."
I need 6 million more rockets for my mission to destroy the Magog and Magog, you know. And, no, I don't. It's just fun. Well, it's like apparently, from what I've heard, Biden didn't like Zelensky either.
No one likes him. A fucking asshole.
Like apparently they've had like dust ups, but like normally it's like, okay, yeah, well, Zelensky gets berated in private. But then when the cameras come out, it's all like friendly. Oh yes, we're on the same side. We're gonna, blah blah blah. So to have this kind of like come out in the open, I mean, Zelensky wasn't expecting that.
You know what I always find interesting about the revisionist history about Zelensky is that he didn't run on being a warmonger. He ran on being like someone who wanted to make peace with Russia. And then the only reason he stopped that is because he went to like where the border was at the time, the contact line, and there's just this video of him like pissing himself and like this scary looking Ukrainian Nazi like just like telling him to fuck off, that the doctor saw him go honoring any of the ceasefires and they can get fucked and they're going to murder all the Russians.
Well, apparently Zelensky's benefactor, Kolomansky, he owns a lot of like mining and resource rights in the Donetsk and Lugansk area, basically. So it was kind of his benefactor's goal to kind of, assert control of this dominion or of these regions. So he could start exploiting the resources there.
Well, the whole thing is like Zelensky is full of shit and is the biggest politician in the world. Like his whole like campaign was like, "Oh, I'm not corrupt." It's like, dude, you literally like. Here's the thing. I think people should have to fight for their nation, but generally speaking, when you're at the point and you're claiming you killed 700, both sides are just full of shit. Like Ukraine is probably lost, like probably in the realm of I'd say about 200,000 to 300,000. Russia, probably about 250,000. They both suffered at least 200,000 casualties. But Russia has a much larger population base. So when one side is going up to people at gunpoint and literally banning people, that side is definitely not winning.
No, I mean, and that's kind of where it is now, right? Though the war is reaching its sort of natural conclusion.
It's a stalemate.
I don't know. Well, I don't know. They're so biased either way. I mean, the Ukrainians have essentially been pushed out of Kursk, from last I heard. They haven't been able to.
That was the single stupidest thing they ever did. It was basically the equivalent of invading Oklahoma if you're trying to Like it's kind of just like you're like, we're losing on this one. Let's go invade Oklahoma.
Well, no, exactly right. It was kind of meant to be this like big PR thing. It's like, hey, look, we actually we're occupying Russian territory. Give us more money and more weapons, and hey, maybe the EU should come in and send troops because
you actually look at it like on a map of Russia. It's like you gotta like zoom in because like how small, like how big Russia is. Like the Russian place like this, smoking like, oh, you invade Kursk. Moscow is like 6,000. It's like 500 miles in the opposite direction.
No, like exactly. It's like
I
don't know. It was meant to be. It was meant to. It was. You know what it's like? It's like okay, you got this company, right? And you're gonna launch on the stock exchange, right? The New York Stock Exchange. That's like, oh hey, we have these 3 products we're gonna release in the next like 2 years, right? So you have all the announcements. It's really big. It's all flashy. You get a bunch of investor capital. And then your business like goes under, right? Like the people at the top, they sting and pocket the money, and the business goes under, and the investors get robbed. That's essentially kind of what Zelensky was doing. They send them all into Kursk. They make a big deal about it, and then
the thing I think that was regrettable is that none of the National Socialists in the Ukrainian army took did a Nazi salute with a windmill, a peace flag in front of the Kursk road signs. I was like, I would have done that. That's 100% what I would have done.
How does that help Ukraine get money from Europe or America?
If I was president, like,
yeah, but you're not president. No, you or me.
But like you could say, "Ha, take that, Stalin. We took Kursk. Now Hitler was here. You gotta spray paint that everywhere. Hitler was here."
Yeah, but like I mean.
You're trying to demoralize the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
You're demoralizing Russia by
No, if anything, that would just embolden Russia. Couldn't be like, oh hey, look, we say they're Nazi in Ukraine. There's literally a Nazi flag. Everyone who doesn't hate on Ukraine is clearly a Nazi sympathizer, and blah 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 blah.
You know my one regret about the Ukrainian conflict. There's no Romanian like Iron Guard Legion on either side. I'm like, no one wants to put. No one ever thinks to like do that. Like there's like every other ideology is represented, but like
I mean, I don't know how much interest in Codreanu there is in Europe. I know the Serbians really like Codreanu, but I don't know if he has much.
Like it's like he's a lot more popular outside of Europe than he is in Europe.
Well, it makes sense. I think like openly professing legionary.
It'll get you arrested in Romania.
Yeah.
Surprisingly,
but that hasn't stopped the church from canonizing its members. But
well. I mean, there was that one hilarious guy who was running in Romanian election who now he's not allowed to run because he won. And, so you're not like for some reason we are still like I don't know why we're not sanctioning these countries that are extremely dangerous to democracy.
It's because it's not about. It's about ideological democracy, not actual democracy.
It's about that. You don't have to explain things to something I already know, nation. Everyone watching this already knows that.
Okay, well, you're saying why aren't they being sanctioned or penalized?
I'm being sarcastic.
Oh, okay, I got you.
I just don't change my tone of voice.
Sure. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, yeah, I mean, the point is there's a specific kind of system that is wanted for the entire world, essentially. And if you play nice and you do things in accordance with that, you get off fine. You get a bit of money, you get a bit of whatever, you get power, but don't actually challenge the status quo. Don't do anything to undermine the post-war consensus and all this kind of stuff. So,
I mean, I find it funny that Europe's screaming they're going to rearm now. We're going to rearm, and
I hope they do.
They're not going to. They have no one to serve in the military. No one wants to serve in the military to a country that hates you. And the people they brought in are just welfare parasites. So,
well, I wouldn't want those people to gain military training regardless, but...
Well, they're not going to. They're just there for free shit.
No, I know. Like, I'm aware. I'm just saying. But, like, if Europe kind of tries to incentivize building a proper army and the individual nations decide to follow through with that. I think that's a good thing. I think it'll be good to have different kind of centers of power in Europe.
But the thing is, the problem with the German military, you know what the issue is? Every time they like build up the military, all the special operations always turn into Nazis for some reason.
It's almost like there's sort of like a racial blood memory or something that just kind of. No, I jest, but like, well, I don't know. Like, look, if the German government believes that that Putin is the new Stalin essentially, and that he has designs on taking over the rest of Europe.
Literally, Merkel was literally working on behalf of Putin. Merkel's one of the...
I'm not going to go that far, but she did realize it was in her best interest. It was in her best interest.
No, it's because she's a communist. It's because she was a...
Yeah, but Russia's not communist.
Yes, it is. Putin is very much a Stalinist.
I literally wrote an article on this saying that Russia's not. I said that the KGB was the only institution that was essentially left functioning after the collapse of the Soviet Union. So of course you're going to find KGB people or ex-KGB people in positions of power, because essentially the government had fallen apart. There was no one in the political. I mean, look at Yeltsin. Yeltsin was like an old Soviet politician. Look how well he did. It's like the political system was done.
I really wish, not to interrupt you, but I'm just going to say something completely unnecessary and say that really, I wish in the 90s the crazed coalition would have gained power, because that would have been hilarious. The National Socialist, monarchist, Stalinist.
It would have been Nazbol. It would have been an actual Nazbol kind of thing. It'd been weird. It'd been funny, but
It's like, the Tsar has been crowned.
The Tsar has been crowned. General Secretary Rodchenko,
General Secretary, His Imperial Majesty.
It's kind of like how Hitler became. He was a chancellor and the what was it? Prime Minister. It was chancellor and president. Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, well now I'm Fuhrer. It's like, okay, I have 3 ranks now. It's kind of cool. So, anyways.
Well, that's the cool thing about being like not caring about democracy. You get to give yourself fun titles.
That's true, I guess.
You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you're not playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
I'm just kind of stupid and maybe not funny, but kind of wondering if Zelensky was confused. He's like, what do you mean? We're not playing cards right now. We're not playing cards. Like if he actually thought Trump was talking about cards.
You have that expression, but maybe it's lost in translation.
Well, because of the way he says it, it's like we're not like he's trying to like dismiss Trump's kind of glib comment, or is he like I don't know. It just seems kind of I don't know. I'm trying being
fucking coke. He's little. Look at this man. He looks like I've seen people on coke. That is a man who's snorted a lot of coke.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If Russia was invading, if I was Polish and Russia was invading my country, I'd probably start doing coke too, because it's like, okay, well we're screwed. But no, I jest. But we don't condone drug use on the monarchist podcast, obviously.
You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III, and what you're doing is very disrespectful.
What he's just said there under his breath is a Russian. Basically, it's a Russian phrase that means dumb whore slut. So he just called the president of the U.S.
Suka blyut, I get it.
Yeah, he basically just called the president of the United States a dumb whore. Yeah, honestly, I really wish Trump would have just punched him in the face. Like, really.
I mean, like after that, Trump's never gonna forgive him. What did you call me, you stupid Ukrainian rat? I see why Putin hates you. Putin should have taken your country a year ago. We should have been funding. It would have been the best. You get out of my sight, you pathetic rat.
No, you gotta call him a pig, because apparently Russians have convinced themselves that's the greatest insult.
Get out of my office, you whore. Hole? I can't.
Respectful to the country, this country. It's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, you said thank you. You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president.
No, that's actually not true. That's just straight up Vance making shit up.
I remember him coming there and like
doing a speech. It was to visit a munitions factory. We had a bunch of munitions factories.
But weren't the Democrats there and this and that?
Yeah, they were there, but like.
I don't know. Either way, I don't know.
Probably not for very much longer.
But to be fair, though, right? The appearance of kind of infidelity is almost as bad as infidelity itself, especially in politics. So like if I was in Zelensky's position, I would be like super careful not to appear partisan. Like I don't know, the fact that even if Vance is wrong, which I'm not willing to say he is, but even if he was, like that appearance alone is bad. And Zelensky doesn't deny it either, but
Also, Zelensky has terrible posture.
You know what? Give him the benefit of the doubt. He's going through like hell, like
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's
like dude, the nigga's gonna be like shot after the war. He'll either be shot by his own generals, or it'll be stinking like lynched up when the Russians.
Hopefully, he embezzled a lot. Embezzled a good amount of money. I mean,
apparently he does. Apparently, he owns a home in like Florida or California or something.
I wouldn't own a home in Florida. That's not a good place to own a home. Or is he going to move into that one neighborhood in Florida that's basically filled with Jews? Maybe Lakewood, New Jersey. He'd probably enjoy Lakewood, New Jersey.
President who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I answer?
No, you've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of winning.
Pause.
Mr. President,
Pause.
staying in our country, staying...
That was such a Kino move though. When Trump was like, "You're not winning this war," and then it's literally going to go, "I know," but then he caught himself. Like if you go back, kind of like if you slow it down, you see like he's about to say, "I know," but he like catches himself and looks.
Well, how are the Redditors going to justify masturbating over gore pictures? I always find that really disgusting. If both sides do this, is like, look, if a guy is wounded, don't drop another grenade on him. That's just a waste of munitions. And like a wounded person is much more difficult to deal with. Just let that guy drag himself back to the trenches.
I don't know. Maybe it's the people that post gore and stuff on like X or whatever.
They're creepy. They're fucking creepy. They are really
they're disgusting. Especially like I don't know. Some people post it kind of like as this footage from the war or whatever, and that's gross enough. Then you have like the NAFO bots who are like
those are weird people.
Yeah, dude. I worked with a guy at my previous job, and like he had a NAFO hat, and he said, "Oh yeah, I donated money. I got to see my drone bomb people." I'm like, dude, you're a weirdo. And then this guy, he was so weird. Like he was probably gonna tune out, honestly. Like he has that kind of way about him, like an anime kind of weirdo guy, but he said that, my grandfather fought, he liberated a concentration camp and took all these kinds of things or whatever, death camp. And he's like, every year I go to the shooting range and I shoot off the guns that, my German guns that my grandfather gave me. And he's like, and I have this like SS flag. I'm going to donate that to a museum because it's kind of weird me having it. And I'm like, okay, firstly,
your dad wasn't a liberator concentration camp, so.
No, but like my thing is it's just his grandfather's personal collection, No, but it's like, okay, so this guy, right? He has no problem owning German munitions that probably killed people, and if you got them for a concentration camp, probably killed Jews, right? So like there's literal blood on the hands of those guns that you have fun with, right? And then you're gonna like donate a flag to a museum or destroy a flag that has like hurt nobody. I mean, yeah, like it symbolizes something, but like,
well, no. I think his father was not really how do we know he liberated? He could be like his grandfather sounds like a fun guy. He's probably on the other side. Yeah, I liberated the concentration camp.
Yeah. But no, like this, unless his grandfather lied to him, which is totally possible. But
well, absolutely.
But anyways, this guy, but whatever. In this guy's view of reality, owning weapons that killed people, totally cool. But owning a flag that my grandfather took as a trophy, that's bad. It's like I don't know. It's like I own stuff from the Ottomans. I own Soviet stuff. I'm not like, oh boy, like I don't know. It's like it's weird. It's weird. Like. It's like
that he used to shoot Jap. In his words, shoot Japs.
It's like
I blamed the Jap with the back end of that. I was like, oh, there's a dent here.
it's just like kind of this self-aggrandized kind of like, it's like, oh, I'm a good person because I got rid of this, even though it's not really consistent with, whatever. I don't know. People like that are kind of weird to me because they don't really seem.
Look, you ever seen those videos where people ask, should children be allowed to buy cigarettes? And they say yes. I mean, they say no. And they say, should children be allowed to transition their gender?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these people are little NPCs, and that's why they need to be put in chains and be ruled over. That's why they shouldn't have any rights, and they're not people. They are NPCs.
Strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are sampled. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
This
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thanks.
president, $350 billion.
You
We gave you
voted
military
for
equipment,
you
and you
voted
had a
for
brave, but they had to use our military
Why
equipment.
you
If you didn't have our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
invited
if
me
you
to
didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
I can just say thank you.
I said a lot of times,
that there,
except to American
except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on. I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. Then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting
Of
killed.
course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a
But I
ceasefire?
said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire.
guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than any agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire. What they think.
That wasn't
Doesn't matter
with
for
me.
you what
That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful. Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to the Vice President. I'm sorry.
It'll be a tough deal to make. Because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
But what if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
But they
Okay,
have-
what if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it.
That's like a fantastic line from Trump, though. By the way, like I appreciate that kind of attitude. It's like, well, yeah, like anything can happen. Like, what if that was? Well, okay, if that happens, then we'll cross that bridge when we get to
That's
it.
such a New York thing to say, though. It's like, yeah, you're like, what if you die, Malay? What if I get raped today? I don't know. It's not happening right now.
No, but people use it as like this some like rhetorical gotcha. Apparently, like,
So
oh yeah,
it's targeted left-leaning liberal things. Like, what if he leads Hitler? It's like, okay.
well, it's a slippery slope thing too, as well. But like, no, but I get it though. It's like, yeah, no, like that he just shut it down perfectly. He's like, yeah, well, if they do that, then we'll deal with it. But like, we're not gonna, And also, that it's like kind of stupid to ask that because then you're asking like Trump what his like future plans are, right? Because what if Trump has like these kinds of like military plans or whatever he wants?
My favorite thing that people ask like during interviews with like the buff celebrities or like athletes is like, have you ever done steroids? It's like, have you ever committed a felony? Can you admit to committing a felony on live radio or live television?
Yeah, no, that's dumb.
It's like, hey, can you tell us what the future invasion plan is? Like, can you tell us like what top secret diplomatic channels are saying?
Yeah, no, like.
With Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him in Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony Hunter Biden, Joe Biden scam. Hillary Clinton, Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam. And he had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war.
I feel like
he was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom.
I can't hear you.
Bedroom.
Trump has a really good memory because he always remembers all the people who like fucked him over. He has like a list like Dirty Schiff, Hillary Clinton.
I feel that's the only thing you remember. No, that's not fair. I'm being a twat. But
No. Okay.
No, I just think his he's very lucid, far more lucid than Biden. I know people try to like play the cognitive decline game with Trump, but like clearly there's nothing that way. So yeah.
Biden proves the idea that the seed oil like scam people no concerned about all these seed oils. Trump is just nothing but seed oils and preservatives.
This is what 100% pure seed oil diet will do to you. I like my seed oil flakes and my seed oil.
It was disgusting. And then they said, oh, the laptop from hell was made by Russia. The 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put Biden. He did, maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break it with me. He wants to make a deal. I don't know if you're very brave. But you're either going to make a deal or we're out. And if we're out, you'll fight it out. I don't think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out. But you don't have the cards. But once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all. Television, I will say that. All right. We'll see.
I just find that like whole exchange like hilarious. Like just literally like he just freaked out, like spazzed out at the president. Who does that?
Well, again, it's not, he's been used to like essentially being treated like a deity when he goes to these places. So to kind of have to publicly defend himself or to publicly, it's not something he's used to doing. So he acted accordingly.
I guarantee if Zelensky visited one of the more active ones, he'd be immediately shot.
Because like I imagine that in preparation for this meeting, Zelensky had his advisors say, "Okay, like this Trump guy, you got to be hard on him. You got to negotiate."
He met with all the neocons and warmongering Democrats.
Yeah, and then it's like he tries to do this thing, and then he completely gets he's completely ill prepared to actually deal with someone like Trump. So it is what it is.
I mean, I think his main issue, is that he had a deal laid out, and he's like, I'm going to go there. He thought he could, bluster in front of Trump and get a better deal. Because Ukraine is not winning this war. They to win the war, they would need to get equipment the U.S. is not willing to give them. The U.S. is the only one who has that type of equipment. Europe doesn't.
Well, they'd also need more men. For Ukraine to actually, win the war, you would need... you would need to have Europe kind of join or America join.
No, they have the man. They just no one is Here's the thing: is when you can bribe the conscription officer not to send you to the front. Your average poor guy or guy who doesn't have a lot of money and seeing all these people drinking and drinking most of Ukraine is not at war and it's still normal. So you see all those people drinking, enjoying their life, and you're stuck in a muddy trench. You're gonna feel some sort of way about that, and they just have this massive problem with people just leaving their positions and fuck this. I'm not gonna die for this country. Go fuck yourself.
I mean, I'm not gonna disparage the average Ukrainian soldier.
I'm not either. But it's just
no, but I fully get dying and serving your country, even if it.
Yeah, but the issue is no one is actually really on the people who the only units holding the line are the ones who are ideological. The Azov battalion, all the offshoots of far right groups who have military units in Ukraine. Those are the ones holding back the line. The conscripts are just running away because people who don't want to be there usually don't make particularly good soldiers.
How much of them are left of Azov?
Oh, they still have a division. That's 5,000 men.
Because I don't know, I never really someday I would like to own an Azov badge. Not that I'm just because it's a cool logo,
Which version? The new version. I don't like the new version.
With the Wolfsangel? No, I'd like the old one. But
yeah, they don't know how to do branding.
No. Well, I mean, it's just I don't know. It's kind of weird having a. It's I like Russia too, and I have certain affinities or admiration to elements of the Reich or whatever. But it's to have your actual a unit in your country be emblems of a foreign kind of nation. It's kind of weird. I don't know.
It's as weird as the Russian Volunteer Corps. They're not Nazis, and in my favorite article about
you don't see Russians flying. I mean, they fly some White Army stuff, but they don't fly stuff from the Russian Liberation Army or Rona or the ROA.
Part from Russian Liberation.
Well, because there's 20 Russian groups that were either directly serving the Reich or allied to it. There was the Czechoslovak Russians who were, anyways. There's a bunch of collaborations Russian groups, and those groups aren't really. I don't know if they're really acknowledged in Russia. You don't see people celebrating them, and when you see Russian neo-Nazis, you only kind of see again the German LARPers you'd have in Ukraine. They don't really kind of. I don't know.
The funny thing is about Putin is he won't stop banning he keeps banning all the people to his right because he's a prick. And it's not because he's a prick. It's because it would destabilize. How would you run a stinking country that has 50 different ethnicities? Do you have to ask that question?
No, you'd put 10% of them to the sword, and then whenever it got up, you'd put 10% more to the sword, and then they'd either get in line or but like that's not realistic.
That is realistic. That's what the Tsars used to do when certain minority groups got uppity. They would send the Ukrainians in there.
If the Tsars were that stinking hard, the Russian Empire would have never collapsed.
They were though. Like there used to be several larger ethnic groups in Russia, in the southern parts of Russia, and then they got uppity, so the Tsar ethnically cleansed a good bit of them.
I mean, that's more like Soviet style. What I don't know.
Where do you think like this whole idea that the Soviets weren't taking a lot of what they did from the cues of the previous government is hilariously naive.
I don't know. I'm someone who studied Russian history. I've taken classes in Russian history and I've read Russian history books. And I mean, like the difference between like the Soviet Union and how Russia treated minority ethnicities does seem to be night and day to me. I mean, the only different, yes, the Russian Empire was like pro-Russian and pro-Slavic essentially. But and the Soviets were anti-Slavic.
What, you never read about the 1820 massacres?
What, are you talking about like the pogroms that happened?
No, that was Jews. That was maybe. No, it was it was.
There were. I mean, are you talking about like in the Caucasus?
Yeah, when they used to go in the Caucasus.
Yeah, but that was like during a time of war. That was like a bit different. They were conquering those regions.
Yeah, well.
I mean,
I don't know why anybody would want the Caucasus.
I mean, it's free real estate.
Yeah, but I mean, besides like natural resources, I can imagine being the prince who went to the Tsars. Like, I conquered Siberia. It's like, great, you can rule over it.
Isn't like aren't they're ethnically interesting, aren't they?
They are. They really
aren't they like
ethnic.
I don't know. Like, aren't they like the root progenitor people of like Europe? Not the Caucasus per se.
There used to be a lot more Europeans in that region before Genghis. Funny enough, Genghis Khan killed a lot of Europeans. A lot of European ethnic groups don't exist anymore.
Don't know how funny that is. Well, what do you think of the argument that that the whole Mongols were actually a Scythian or European tribe?
No, they weren't. Genghis Khan, there's like hundreds of paintings of him. There's one description of him being blonde-haired, blue-eyed.
I mean, there are a few images of him that are kind of European presenting.
He is 100% Mongolian.
Okay. Then how did Mongolia just implode on itself?
What do you mean? Like they didn't really implode. The empire kind of just
dissolved.
Separated. I mean, it really didn't implode like right after its death. There was a few Khans after.
No, it lasted for a bit, but then it just kind of faded away. And then the
Mongols didn't have as much influence as the Roman Empire. Like people why do more people talk about the Mongolian Empire? It's because it had a lot less influence. Like it wasn't like the Romans forced people at sword point to be Roman and destroyed other people's cultures. It's funny. The Romans do everything that people that might love the Roman Empire, but they destroyed so much of Europe, so many European cultures. They destroyed Judaism in British Isles.
Well, anyways, and I'm just gonna say that I'm not necessarily a denier of Genghis Khan's Mongolian heritage.
This is now a Mongolian truth. This podcast.
Yeah, get the throat singing going.
Yeah. Genghis Khan was a white man.
But we was Khans. We was Khans.
We was Khans and shit. We was out there riding on horseback.
Drinking horse blood. Nah, but I'm not like dogmatic either way about the Genghis Khan thing. I know that's a thing that apostate historians kind of like pursue a bit, and I mean and there's certain arguments that I've heard. Mm-hmm.
A lot of like right wing people accept a lot of dumbass historical narratives to be contrarian idiots. It's like Jesus wasn't a real person. It's like not even that one.
Well, that position's. You'd have to be like you're just an idiot. Like honestly, like truth be told, right? Like, you're an idiot, or you're just so like atheistic or so into paganism that you just have to take.
You're trying to sell books.
yeah, or sell books, or just it's more of a comment on one's own like mental disposition than any kind of adherence to like the truth or anything. Because like even the most secular modern historians and scholars and whatever, they will say, oh yeah, well Jesus obviously existed. They may not believe he rose from the dead or did any of the miracles or whatever. They believe he was an actual person. So you're just trying to be contrarian at that point, trying to be contrarian and edgy. That's all there is to it.
Oh, I love being contrarian and edgy. But you know,
Well, you want to be right, I think, first and foremost.
you know,
I mean, I don't go. I don't.
I know I had an episode where I said that what's her name was that who's that dumb Catholic bitch who's on the Supreme Court? Amy Coney Barrett.
Okay.
And I was like, anybody who I said it when Distant Mom was on. I still have the episode. And I said anybody who adopts black kids is a mentally deficient and should not be trusted. And guess what? She ruled against Trump. I was like, I was proven right. Don't ever trust a woman, and don't ever trust anybody who marries outside their own race or adopts outside their own race. That's someone with severe mental issues. That should be considered a mental disorder. When we win, that's to be in the DSM. We'll call it.
It'd be pathological altruism, or
pathological altruism.
Or what's like what or xenophilia, I guess.
Patriotic xenophiliac syndrome.
It'd be xenophilia, but what's when you hate your own like people?
I think that's internalized xenophobia.
I don't know. It's like I just feel bad for the kids, though, honestly, because like the culture and everything's gonna be. I know that all the reasons to do as well, but it's
like people who do that, they're just. I mean, they're basically post dogs.
It's very well. A lot of people who adopt are like that too. Like, I mean, I don't. Again, they're like.
No, I mean, I if you're right wing, I fully think that in the United States on the federal level, I have no problem with saying that race mixing. If you race mix, you would be put in prison. Your children would be sterilized. You are not allowed to adopt outside of your own race.
Well,
I don't.
I think that I think just maintaining common sense social norms and doing away with this propaganda would solve a lot of those.
It would, but like it should still be enforced by gunpoint.
Well,
like all morality is fully.
I try not to defend. Or I try not to legislate things that don't need to be legislated per se.
Well, a lot of things. I mean, people used to think that you need to legislate not treating your employees like dirt or stealing from your employees' paychecks, but yeah, well, apparently you do. I take the approach of most people know it's bad to set a house on fire, but for some reason you need to make a law that says you can't set a house on fire. Same thing with it's wrong to throw rocks at cripples' heads, but for some reason you need to tell people. Some people need to be told that you don't do that. It's very morally reprehensible to throw rocks at cripples. Like laws are not meant for a morally upstanding person. They're meant for psychos. Like I was reading this story in Australia, and this little hell spawn murdered a 13-year-old. Sorry, he was a 13-year-old who murdered a 3-year-old, and this little hell spawn was let out. I was like, put that kid down, give him the chance.
Well, my argument there was another case in England too, where a bunch of boys tortured and killed another kid, and my view is like, okay, well, you know what, you keep them in prison until they're 18, and then on their 18th birthday or shortly thereafter, then you like kill them. Because I do think the whole like killing children thing, even reprehensible criminals, is kind of I'm not cool with that, but like. Yeah, no, I do believe that once they reach the age of majority, it's like, okay, well,
Here's the thing. Once, like if you're like 9 or 8 or 7, sure. But if you do something that's really like abhorrent, like you have to, like those in Canada, I hope you don't live around this one part of Canada where they let this kid out. This kid like started smashing like at this petting zoo, murdered a bunch of animals. And I was like, that kid needs to be locked up. I was like, that kid is a serial killer. But like, I'm sorry, but George Stinney is a perfect example. he did kill those 2 girls. He beat 2 girls to death with a hammer. And that little 14-year-old fought. And that was the correct thing. I mean, yeah, maybe you could put them in a mental institution for the rest of their lives. But either way, they don't need to be around. Society needs to protect itself from sociopaths.
No, that's true. I mean, I concur with that. Obviously, that's the
It's like-
thing, though. Because we believe in, like, you know, equality and reformation and all these kinds of things. We believe that all people can kind of be, you know, enlightened and saved. But that's, you know, that's not the case.
I mean, sure, people can be saved. But if you're 13,
No, well,
like 13, I knew killing someone and torturing someone was wrong. Most people at age 13 are pretty conscious of their actions.
No, I know.
Like,
No, I don't disagree.
There was PA. I think we sentenced. This was like 10 years ago. But we had a kid who took another kid into the woods and set him on fire. That kid is not getting out of prison. We're not letting him out of prison, and that's a good thing.
No, that's how it should be. Yeah, because you have to think about the community too, right? Like, it only, like, you know, barring some really weird circumstances, it only gets worse from their initial offense because it, like, ramps up, especially for, like, people who are into, like, sadism.
If someone like gets involved in the wrong crime and shoots someone and I get that. But like, when you're specifically going out and intentionally doing like things like setting people on fire,
yeah, that's beyond. Yeah, that you're trying to torture someone. You're trying. Yeah, it's reprehensible.
And here's the thing: I actually wanted to cover a few things that the
let's hold that off. It is
I know. I just want to say a few things. But the thing I was thinking about is, I think people were saying, like, why doesn't Trump just use the DOJ to go after leftists on YouTube and send them letters? I was like, yeah, could they easily do it? But they're not going to, because conservatives have no spine. Just
can you hear me? You went mute.
shit. No one heard my great monologue, whatever. Okay, I guess so. We'll see everyone next week, and I don't know what we're going to be covering next week.
There's always stuff to cover.
Oh yeah, probably we used to cover a lot of tranny raping children. That's usually every week. Trannies raping children.
That's just the news at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I thought about doing a special segment called I don't know, the Stink Ditch Report, Tales from the Stink Ditch. I'll think of the title. But I'll see you next.